which Matt can publish in the Progressive. Yeah, just to, if we're thinking human beings, we have to be willing to question everything, including these wars, which nobody wants to say anything bad about. And so that's what I'm going to just start to do, because it's a very big topic, and I only have a little bit of time, and I've been warned about time. They have a guy here who warns you, and he's a very tough-looking guy, and he warns you about time. So I only have a bit of time, just enough to introduce a few ideas, just to think about. Okay? One of those ideas is actually something Matt mentioned Erwin Knoll. And I don't know how many of you knew him or read The Progressive when Erwin Knoll was editor of The Progressive. But yeah, I met Erwin Knoll. And one of the first things that happened when I met Erwin Knoll is that we both found that we both had exactly the same idea about a certain thing. That is, we were both making the distinction between a just cause and a just war. That is, there are things that happen in the world that are bad and that you want to do something about. And so you have a just cause there. But our culture is so war-prone that we immediately rush and make this logical jump from, oh, this is a good cause, therefore it deserves a war. No. You have to be very, very careful in making that jump from, oh, this is a good cause, to, oh, therefore we have to make war to do something about it. No. It was actually, you might say it was a good cause to get Spain out of Cuba in 1898. Spain was oppressing Cuba. But did that necessarily mean, therefore, we had to go to war against Spain? You have to examine that war very carefully to see what it produced. You know, you have to see, and you have to then understand that we got Spain out of oppressing Cuba and got ourselves in to oppress Cuba. So you have to be very careful. You might say that stopping North Korea from invading South Korea there's a just cause there. They shouldn't do that. It's not good. It's not right. Does that mean, therefore, we should go to war to stop it? Especially if that war, and you know the Korean War is one of the least known wars. It's sort of a war that's been lost in history. 2 to 3 million Koreans died in that war. A cause, a just cause. North Korea should not invade South Korea. So we go, what's the answer? War. What's the result? 2 to 3 million Koreans dead. And is there any particular change in the alignment of South Korea and North Korea? No, it starts off with a dictatorship in South Korea and a dictatorship in North Korea. And it ends up, after 2 million dead, with a dictatorship in South Korea and a dictatorship in North Korea. I'd be very careful about rushing from one thing to another, from just cause to just war. And Erwin Knoll is the only other person I found who was thinking exactly along the same lines. I'm always looking for somebody who's thinking along the same lines as me. That's what I do. I go around looking for people. Very gratified when I find somebody. The American Revolution, independence from England, a just cause. Yeah, why should a group of colonists here be occupied by, they were occupying us. They were, oppressing us. Therefore, we go to war, the Revolutionary War. How many people die in the Revolutionary War? Nobody knows exactly. By the way, you'll find out when you look at the statistics of war dead that nobody ever knows exactly how many people die. Who cares? But 25,000 to 50,000 people die. Let's take the lower figure. 25,000 die in the Revolutionary War in a population of 3 million. That would be equivalent today to 2.5 million people dying in a war to get England off our backs. Well, you might consider that worth it, or you might not. Canada is independent of England. Aren't they? I think so. Not a bad society. They have good health care. They have a lot of things we don't have. They didn't fight a bloody Revolutionary War. Why do we assume that you had to fight a bloody Revolutionary War to get rid of England? Do you know that? I always start off saying, do you know? Because I figure people don't know this and they'll be gratified that I'm telling them this. That in the year before the first shots were fired, those famous shots, the shot that was heard around the world, Lexington, Concord, April of 1775, the beginning of the Revolutionary War, that the year before that, farmers in western Massachusetts had driven the British government out of most of western Massachusetts without firing a shot. They had assembled by the thousands and thousands around courthouses, around official